Hi guys, Mr. Mackey here. Now yesterday we did part 1 of the cosine rule, where we used it to find missing sides of scalene triangles. Now today we're going to continue with the cosine rule and use it to find missing angles. But firstly, let's solve the challenge I set you yesterday. I had this triangle, we had 2 of the angles, 2 of the sides, but I wanted you to find the missing angle and the missing side. Now to do this, I think it's best that we start by finding the missing angle, because that has the easiest bit of knowledge. We know that the angles in a triangle all add up to 180 degrees. We have 20, we have 80, that makes 100. We just have to take that away, and what will be left is our missing angle. And with that, our missing angle would be 80 degrees. Now we can use the cosine rule to find our missing side. So let's write out the cosine rule. It would be 8 squared plus 10.5 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10.5 times the cos of 80 degrees, because that's the angle in between them. Now that is a bit of a long-winded one, so let's simplify. Let's make it a bit easier. So 8 squared is 64. 10.5 squared, that will get us 110.25. Now 2 times 8 times 10.5. Anyone know what that would be? That would get us 168. And we're timesing 168 by the cos of 80. The cos of 80 is 0.174. Now let's tie this up a bit more. 64 plus 110.25 is 174.25. 168 times the cos of 80 gets us to 2 decimal places, 29.17. So simplify that again, we now subtract them. So let's do it. 174.25 minus 29.7 would be 145.08. Now that is our missing side squared. So what do? We now have to root that. So 145.08 rooted will get us our missing side, which to 2 decimal places is 12.04 meters. And that's how you use the cosine rule to find missing sides. Now, as I just said, today we're going to be using the cosine rule to find missing angles of scalene triangles. Now, the only time we use the cosine rule to find missing angles is if we have all 3 sides. You can only use the cosine rule if you have all 3 sides. You could use the cosine rule if you had no angles, but you have to have all 3 sides to find your missing angle. So, how the cosine rule works is if I wanted to find this missing angle, the cos of this angle, you add the squares of the sides that the angle's between together, subtract that from the square of the side opposite the angle we're finding, and divide that by 2 times the sides the angle is between together. Now that's a bit of a mouthful. Let me show you with this problem. What we're going to do is, this video is, we're all going to focus on this problem, but we're going to use the cosine rule to find all 3 angles. So, let's do the first one. We want to find this missing angle. So what you do is the cos of A equals 8 squared plus 5 squared minus 6 squared, because those are the 2 sides that the angle's in between. 6 is the side opposite. Then you divide that by 2 times 8 times 5. So 8 squared is 64. 5 squared is 25. You add that together, you will get 89. 6 squared is 36. So what is 89 take away 36? That will be 53. 2 times 8 is 16. 8 times 5 is 80. So the cos of A is 53 over 80. Now what do we do? Well, if the cos of the angle is 53 over 80, we have to do cos minus 1. So we press shift in our calculator, you press your cos, and then you enter 53 over 80, and that will get us our missing angle, which to one decimal place is 48.5 degrees. And that's how we use the cosine rule to find that angle. Now we're going to use it to find this angle. We still have our sides, absolutely fantastic. We could use the sine rule, but we're not doing the sine rule today, clear the title. So, let's do it. So we use the two sides that the angle's in between. So we do 8 squared plus 6 squared minus the side the angle is opposite. So that's 5 squared. And we divide that by 2 times the side that the angle is in between. Now 8 squared is 64. 6 squared is 36. You add that all together, you will get 100. 5 squared is 25. Now 100 minus 25 will be 75. Now 2 times 8 is 16. 16 times 6 will be 96. And that is the cosine of our missing angle. So what do? We cos minus 1 it. So we shift, press the cos so it says cos minus 1. Then we do 75 over 96. And that will get us our missing side angle, which to one decimal place is 38.6 degrees. Do we need the cosine rule to find our other missing angle? No, we don't. Because if we have two of them and we know that all of the angles add up to 180, we can just find our missing angle from here. So 180 minus 48.5 minus 38.6. And then once you take them away from 180, you will get 92.9 degrees. Obviously, 92.9 doesn't look like that. 92.9 is much more of an obtuse angle. This triangle obviously isn't drawn to scale, but in essence, that's how you use the cosine rule to find missing angles. Now, because this is the last day of Triangle Week, and next week we're going to be starting a brand new theme, which is angles, I won't be setting a challenge for you guys tonight. So what we're going to do is, this is the problem. I have a triangle, I have 10 metres, I have 8 metres, and I have 40 degrees. I want to find this angle, and this side. How do I find it? Pause the video, work it out for yourself, and then I'm going to go through it. Did you pause? Did I just wait for no reason? I feel like an idiot now. Anyways, so this is how we do it. I'm first going to use the cosine rule to find our missing side. Because once we've found all three sides, we can then use the cosine rule to find our missing angles. So, let's do it. What is 8? What we do is we do 8 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10 times cos of 40. 8 squared is 64, 10 squared is 100. 2 times 8 times 10 will get us 160, and then we're timesing 160 by the cos of 40. So it's 164 minus, when you enter it in a calculator, 160 times the cos of 40 to 2 decimal places is 122.57. And that will make our missing side squared a grand total of 41.43. And then what do? We root that answer. And to 2 decimal places, our missing side is 6.44 meters. Now, we have 2 angles left to find. So now let's use the cosine rule to find those missing angles. The angle I'm going to find first is this one. So let's write it. 8 squared plus 6.44 squared minus 10 squared all over 2 times 8 times 6.44. Let's polish this up a bit. 8 squared is 64. 6.44 squared added together, and then you take away 100 from that, will be 5.4736. The reason why I didn't round this to 2 decimal places like I've done per usual is because we want to get this degree to the best accuracy as possible in our working out. And because it's only to 4 decimal places, I can still fit it on the board. And now the bottom one. 2 times 8 times 6.44 will get us 103.04. And now we do our cos. So cos minus 1 because we're finding an angle. So we do 5.4736 over 103.04, which would find us our missing angle for here, which becomes 86.95 degrees. Always remember that little circle. Now, do we need the cosine rule to find this missing angle? We could use it, but there is an easier way. All the angles in a triangle add up to 180, so we just take these two away from 180, and what's left is our missing angle. So what is 180 take away 40, take away our missing angle? That would be 53.05 degrees. And that's how we use the cosine rule to find missing sides and angles. That's the end of Triangle Week. I've had good fun in this. It's been a long time since I've actually done stuff related to the sine rule and the cosine rule, so I hope it's helped. Next week we're going to be focusing on angles, the different types, how to draw them, the different angle rules, how to prove the angle rules, and I'm looking forward to that. You will need, for next week, you will need a ruler. You will need some paper. You'll need a pencil because you might make mistakes, and you'll need a protractor. What is a protractor? If you're not sure what a protractor is, stay tuned for tomorrow and I'll show you. But protractors are so important whenever we're doing angles because they help us measure them, they help us draw them, and so on. And massive thank you to everyone who has shared this channel, subscribed to this channel, told people about this channel. I've had so many good reviews about my lessons, how helpful they've been, and I hope they continue going because the most important thing about this is we need to help get our children learning, especially as they're at home struggling in this lockdown. So I think it's important that in this lockdown they do stuff like this to occupy their time. So a massive thank you to everyone who has been sharing and carrying that message across. Thank you so much. You're the reason why these channels still go on. Thank you. Have a good evening. And most importantly, Happy Easter. Oh my goodness. I'm to be honest, because of all the situation, I completely forgot it was Easter. Hope you get all those Easter eggs. Hope you enjoy those chocolate goodies and do the cosine rule. Happy Easter, guys. I hope you have a great time with your loved ones. I know you can't spend it with all of them because of the lockdown, but use stuff like Zoom and you'll be able to speak to them. I'm using Zoom in a few hours' time to speak to my family who are all over the country. So definitely recommend that. But we will get through this. It may not be the best Easter, but don't let it ruin your fun, okay? Thank you, guys. Have a good day.